Jeu clavette. Clavette mène 4 jeux à 2.
I think Chang was entirely convinced about that last call, but he wasn't going to fight it at 40 love. Well, he's got to do something now, has Chang. Otherwise, he's on the next plane back to Nevada.
Premier service.
He reached the 4th round here last year, so if he goes out 1 round earlier, he's probably going to continue his slow but apparently inexorable fall down the rankings. He spent most of last year as world number 2. Slipped to 3 at the end of the year, which was, I think, the time when people began to wonder whether he was really starting to run out of gas. That's more like it.
Yes, it is more like it, but we've seen it so infrequently. I thought I heard a lead as well, I must be honest. By the looks of it, only 2 people thought it might have been. Alberto and myself.
Doesn't mean you're wrong, Bob.
No, but I probably am.
40-0.
Again.
It's just the kind of game that Chang needs.
Now, what do you think Chang was trying to do there with the backhand? He didn't hit it. There it is there.
Lands on halfway, mid-court.
It wasn't a drive, it wasn't an angle, it wasn't a moon ball. It was soft and said, please hit me. Alberto obliged. Oh, yes.
Chang's ace count goes up to 6, but he needs more than aces at the moment. Clavet's still a break up and 2-1. You have to wonder whether the one he won here 9 years ago will end up as his only one. He's been in 3 subsequent finals, 1 here, 1 in New York and 1 in Melbourne.
Something wrong somewhere.
He did something to his foot then. Now watch how Chang pulls up after this forehand. Oh, camera angle changed. Seems okay though. Rios.
That was nearly the most difficult volley Michael Chang's ever had to make.
About a centimetre's worth of difference there.
Oh, good scrambling there by Clavet. What would Chang have done with that volley? Who knows?
To have made all the effort to run around his backhand. Oh, he got away with it. Break point for 4-all.
He's hoping to get a few errors from the racket of Clavet, but he's getting so few of them. This last one was a beautiful forehand.
Avantage clavette.
Point for 5-3.
Jeu clavette.
Bill Norris is still in the area.
Clavette mène par 5 jeux à 3.
This is in the top left-hand corner of your picture there. Just by the door where the players come out. You can just see a little bit of his white top. That was where Chang pulled up. Could be the beginnings of some cramps. He has slightly more pressing engagement though. That's to hold his serve, because if he doesn't, he's on his way. 3-5, fourth set. And he has some support here.
Well, he's pretty popular all over the world, isn't he?
Especially in Asia. He's
Well,
massive.
He's massive there. But anywhere he plays, because people love a trier.
And I suppose many of them here would have been here in 89
30.
to see one of those two incredible 5-set victories. One in the fourth round against Lendl, one in the final against Edberg. Both times when he looked down and out. He's suffering. He's suffering.
30-15.
I think that is some cramp there.
Well, you have to admire Michael. I certainly admire him. He's a Christian, and he has a Christian attitude. You know, you don't see him doing anything bad on the court, saying anything bad. And there, he couldn't help himself, but then it took a second or two, and he walked back normally.
It's a good serve. Yes, his faith is a very big part of not just his life, but his tennis. There are times when he feels no pressure because of the faith that he has. 40-15. I think that might answer your question, Bob, as to why he's playing more aggressively. I think he needs to keep the points short.
Clavette mène par 5 jeux à 4.
He holds serve, but in a minute it'll be Clavette serving for a place in the fourth round. Clavette, he's got to hold his nerve as much as Chang's got to get back in it. 5-4, fourth set. The Spaniard serving. He's played a very, very astute match tactically. Often stayed well behind the baseline, playing nothing balls. But when he's had a short one, he's so often dealt with it mercilessly. And he's keeping up the pressure right to the end. No letting up inside of the winning post. Beautifully crafted point. But you have to say Chang is not at full strength. Two points away from putting out the number 11 seed. That's nice.
Certainly a degree of urgency, if that's the right word to use, with Michael Chang. He's certainly more aggressive the last couple of games.
Two match points for Francisco Clavet. It's only one break of serve, it's only one game, so you can't afford to be profligate. Still match point to reduce the draw to just 6 out of the 16 starting seeds. That's it. A rather lame ending. A lame ending from Michael Chang, but that, I'm afraid, has been the story of his match, at least from about the middle of the second set onwards. And Michael Chang is wandering off, just to pick up his racket. A stringing device from the corner. I assume we'll see Michael again next year, but I wonder whether his final chance has gone, Bob Hewitt.
One would have to assume it has gone, but then again, players have been known to go through a bad patch for a short period of time, and others have gone through a bad patch for over a year. I believe he's gone through a bad patch for more than a year now, but it depends what's inside the mind and inside the heart and the soul to whether he really wants to come back. If he does want to come back, there's nothing to stop him from doing so, but perhaps he might be looking for an escape now to say, well, I've run so many millions of miles, I don't need to do it anymore. I'm financially secure and I'm just mentally, physically and emotionally drained, and you know, tennis is too hard for me from now on.
What it means is that we're left with just 6 seeds, the 5 Spaniards seeded 12 to 16, and Marcelo Rios, the number 3 seed. Maybe perhaps renew calls for the seeding to be done based on performances on clay rather than on rankings in general. That's a separate story. I can tell you Alex Corretja is a breakup in the 3rd set against Hernan Gumi. He leads by 4 games to 3 and is serving. That's proving a marathon encounter. That's the only unfinished men's singles match out at the moment, the only unfinished singles match. In a minute we're going to have Sports Centre, and then we're going to have...
Rios held serve the first game, had 2 break points in the second game, didn't break. Costa did break, up 2-1. Rios broke back 2-all. Rios held 3-2. He had a break point for 4-2, but Costa held for 3-all. He's won the last 3 games. Rios serving to stay in the opening set. Well, Fru, a lot of people think this could be the match that decides the destiny of the men's title. It's certainly been pretty close to start with.
Yes, it has. It's certainly a match between 2 players in terrific clay court form, and I think the respect that they have for each other's game has been very evident, really, in the tremendous competitiveness of the match. Thus, I think Rios's little outburst, it was little. And in many ways, one could sympathize with him, because I think what happened was Costa served, and Rios returned the ball almost instinctively, and then having returned it, he then looked at the mark, found it out, and the umpire was saying, well, you played on, as it were, and therefore I'm not going to change my original call. So the fact is the ball was out. It should have been a fault, but Rios didn't get it because he played a return of serve.
35.
Third double fault for Rios, and that's most unusual because what did he serve in the Italian Open? 4 in the entire tournament.
Yes, it's been a feature of his game this year. Very much higher serve percentage, a lot more service games won, points won behind first serve, fewer doubles, better all-round player.
Really shouldn't have got away with that.
Yes, just pushing that Costa was there, but there's been a feature of the match so far. The Costa's backhand, which is normally a wonderful shot, particularly down the line, not been functioning quite as well, and yet he's been playing well otherwise. I just feel if that shot begins to strike form, Rios is going to have a real battle on his hands, but without it, Rios has opportunities.
Yeah, there's an example. Because he's not hitting the backhand down the line as well as you would like, he's having to compromise, not go for the line.
Yes, and not going flat out. So what it means is the shorter Rios with the restricted reach on that two-handed side is not being shown up.
Rios holds, but it'll be Costa to serve for the opening set at 5-4.
Once upon a time, there was a printer that thought it was a copier. It was fast, 32 pages a minute. This printer collated, sorted...
Welcome back. Live coverage now, through for the next 2.5 hours. And we've got, if this match is over in that time, and that's a big if, we've got a cracking ladies match to follow it. Kornikova against Novotná. Winner of this match will play Carlos Moya, who beat Jens Knipschild of Germany in 4 sets. Felix Mantilla will play Thomas Muster in the quarterfinals. Mantilla straight sets over Ramon Delgado. Muster 5 sets over Fernando Meligjani. And in the unfinished match from last night, in which, when it was called off for rain last night, Hernan Gumi led Alex Corretja by 2-1. Corretja eventually won 9-7 in the 5th. The total playing time, a mere 5.5 hours. Oh, what a shot to end a magnificent point.
Well, they really are hitting the cover off the ball. But again, quite obvious Costa's reluctance to go down the line. And although that was a fine cross-court shot, Rios just perhaps not sensing that as he made his approach. Wonderful movement, though, by the two of them. A real vital match.
2-set points for Costa. Rios has won 2 of their 3 previous matches, but it's 1-1 on clay.
Première manche. Costa 6-4.
2-1 to Costa, gives him the opening set. ...44 minutes.
Well, it's pretty unusual territory, and thus you can see Rios unfamiliarly losing the first set of a match. He's been in such terrific form. Did lose a set to Brett Stephen, but that was after 2 sets to love.
Just to complete the roundup of results from earlier in the day, Martina Hingis beat Anna Smashnova 6-1, 6-2, and will play Venus Williams, who beat Henrietta Nagyova 6-1, 6-3. Those are all the singles results today. Yes, Marcelo Rios has only lost 4 matches all year, but now in danger of falling a set and a break behind.
Yes, and a slightly slack approach there, and it was preceded really by a pretty sloppy drop volley too. Rios obviously down, and a good time for Costa to be striking back at him again.
Three break points for Costa.
Terrific pace, and the ball just sliding through the line, making it difficult for Costa. Well, you can see the wear and tear on Rios's face, and this is one of the reasons. It's really been terrifically high quality. The only lapses, I suppose, have been the occasional attempted drop shots by Costa that haven't worked.
40.
Third ace from Rios. And he comes back from love 40. No.
Avantage Costa.
Yes, it wasn't even close, and perhaps one can understand Rios trying to play it deep because of that missed backhand volley earlier on. So figuring, well, this time I'm just going to raise my sights, and of course he raised them too much.
Égalité. Avantage Rios.
In the occasional bit of serve volleying from Rios, very occasional, but none really so far from Costa.
Égalité.
Having to resort to the one-handed stretch. This perhaps is just making a little bit of the difference at the moment.
This the fifth game out of 11 to go to juice, which gives you some idea of the competitiveness. Has he broken a string? No. Made such a strange sound. It was almost like a double hit, that serve.
It was well mishit, as it were. Well, because it went in, but it certainly was mishit. No problems with the smash.
Égalité.
This being a fourth deuce makes this the longest game of the match so far.
Avantage Rios. Premier service. Égalité.
Well, a bit of bad luck. He was getting the angle he was looking for. Bois de Boulogne behind, and Rios has been doing a lot more of this. It really started with his match against Rosetsky in Indian Wells, where he had to keep Rosetsky from the net.
Fourth ace and a big game for Rios. He saves 4 break points to win the opening game of the second set. Welcome back. Centre court, Roland Garros, day 7 of the 1988 French Open. And the most eagerly awaited clash so far in the men's singles. Marcelo Rios has asked for Bill Norris, the trainer, to be sent for, and Bill's just arrived in the corner of the court.
15e.
Of course, Rios with the elbow problems that affected him after he became #1 in the world in March. Whether that's the problem again today, we shall find out shortly.
30-0. Prenez place, monsieur, s'il vous plaît.
Yes, and of course it wasn't the fact that he was #1 that caused him to get the elbow, as the players say. It was meant to be a longer racket that Rios is using this year. Certainly been playing pretty magnificently with it. And of course the story behind Costa's transformation stems from a match against Andrei Medvedev in Hamburg. He was down and out, injured, and suddenly played like a wounded lion, fought magnificently, won the match, and has not looked back since, other than his mishap in Rome.
Yes, what happened to him in Rome in the last game of winning his semi-final, he injured his right wrist and couldn't play the final, which should have been against Rios. But starting with that match in Hamburg, which was the first round against the defending champion Medvedev, he was 4-1 and 2 breaks down in the final set. Since then he hasn't lost a match. Went on to win the tournament in Hamburg, reached the final in Rome but couldn't play it.
Un jeu partout.
And I remember we were saying at the time this could just be the making of Costa, because we've always believed in him, and yet he hasn't quite delivered since reaching the quarters here the year Muster won. Lost a close match to Muster, a match in fact he might well have won.
Yep, Have you negotiated our 10% yet? I think we deserve it.
Yes, because what he'd always done was played superbly, had the technique, no real weaknesses, but he hadn't really had the power to win points. But against Medvedev, because he was a little injured, he just suddenly felt that he had to hit harder, discovered that it all worked, and has played like that ever since.
Quinze.
Oh, yes, sirree.
Well, that's astonishing class. It really shows what can be made of clay court tennis, how good it can be.
Once again, Rios finds himself break point down. The point, of course, about this clay court tennis with these two men is that although they're predominantly baseliners, they do venture forward. They're not stuck on the baseline like glue. Costa does break this time. Things looking good for the Spaniard. A set up and 2-1 up. And here comes Bill Norris. Tough to breathe, says Rios. And what Bill Norris gave Marcelo Rios was basically smelling salts. He wafted them around in front of the nose, and then he put a little bit underneath the nose. So I do hope that Rios isn't feeling unwell. Well, he obviously is, but it isn't too serious.
Yes, it's a difficult one really to try and sum up, because I mean, we've all been in tense situations, whether it's on a tennis court or elsewhere, and difficulty breathing, almost a suggestion of high tension.
There's a couple of times Goran Ivanisevic has suffered from that, hasn't he? But he's a very different sort of character from Marcelo Rios.
Well, they say left-handers, you know, tend to be geniuses, a lot more of them, and perhaps they are more highly strung.
45.
Costa certainly winning a succession of easy service games. In the first set, he actually lost more points on his serve than Rios did.
Second ace from Costa. And he leads 3-1. It's the only round of 16 match between two seeds. Only 6 seeds remain. Rios and 5 Spaniards. The other 4 Spaniards, incidentally, in case you're wondering: Berasategi, Karecha, Mantilla and Moya.
15-0.
Rios, having played the shot, just looking back at the court, you can see he almost fell over.
That's the one thing he's not done well today, is drop shot.
30-0.
Fifth ace from Rios.
Rios.
First love service game of the match. 3-2.
It's good of Rios. Quick to decide, but Costa's not too sure. As honest as Rios is, he feels he might just have got a bit of line. But Rios was trying to do it all quickly and move back to position so as not to keep Costa waiting before his second serve. Little worrying because Costa's seems to be striking the serve a bit more solidly. The ground stroke's obviously the man of confidence. The Rios might just have to change tactic a little bit, might have to do a bit more approaching.
Oh, play a few shots like that. That'll do.
I must admit, this is a bit of lightning, really, which comes from a reasonably clear sky.
Yes, it's the best part of the day, weather-wise, without a doubt. It was pretty grey this morning. Now the clouds are much more scattered.
Well, one of the best backhands down the line played for Costa, by Costa, and that's even more ominous, and I think very wise to let this one bounce.
Costa, balle neuve, new balls.
Not a seat to be had for this one.
Costa this year against left-handers is only the one win against Arazi. Lost to Michael Tebbett the first match of the year, Thomas Muster in Estoril, and Peter Corder in Monte Carlo.
You would have thought with his backhand he would actually do rather well against left-handers.
Yes, I think he does by and large.
30-0.
Had a good view of the backhand there on that last shot of his, because the preparation was so good, steadying the racket with the left hand as he whipped it back quickly with the right.
Oh. What on earth was that? I mean, I just don't know what he was thinking about.
Yeah, he was certainly trying a drop volley, but from that height, it was a very, very difficult shot. The slip only happened afterwards.
40.
This is not the Rios that we've come to admire so much this year. Rather snatching at that one. Saw the big gap cross court. Costa says, don't bother, even to look, that's a clean ace.
Great sportsmanship, really. It's been a feature of the clay court season.
Rios staying in touch in this second set. Still Costa has the advantage, but leads by 4 games to 3 with a break of serve. Costa at 76%. Almost matching Rios for winners, but far less extravagant with the losers. 4-3 he leads in serving. Just quickly update you on Suzanne London court. A few minutes ago, Serena Williams was serving for the match against Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, up a set 5-3, but now it's 5-all, and Monica Seles is going well against Chanda Rubin, 6-1 and 2-1 to Seles.
Wait, please.
Another terrific point.
Well, there's an example, really, of the revitalized, the almost newly armed Costa. Such power with that forehand down the line. Rios must have felt that he had a bit of an opening, a bit of a hope to get to love 30, and yet smack bang. Couple of very, very important games, I feel. And Costa just missing the first serve, just weakening a little.
Well, Rios says he's found the mark. It's yet another drop shot that's gone wrong from Costa.
15-40.
Yes, and that was almost the worst time to play it. Some of the others he's played have not been at bad times, given the context of the point.
2 break-back points for Rios. And he seizes the first, and the match is right back in the balance for all.
Brilliant piece of anticipation by Rios, just standing his ground with Costa really able to hit the ball either side, just waited for him. And once Costa tried to what he thought was wrong-footing Rios, Rios was in the driving seat.
Tout petit peu de silence, s'il vous plaît. Merci.
good view from that overhead camera of the foot movement as Rios as he is about to serve. He was actually foot faulted in the first set.
Don't believe it.
He's determined to make one, isn't he? In the process, he's handing it to Rios on a plate.
Chino, the nickname for Marcelo Rios back in Chile, not one he particularly enjoys.
S'il vous plaît. Rios.
Seventh ace. 3 successive games for Marcelo Rios. And he's ahead now in the second set. 5-4. In the second set. And suddenly Costa's looking very edgy and very tentative.
What he really needs is his serve to do some work for him. He's putting a lot of effort into it, but getting no reward at the moment.
Arantxa Sanchez Vicario has come from a set and 5-3 down to win the second set against Serena Williams, 7-5, 1 set all.
Well, there the serve did work, but once again Rios just standing his ground, anticipating that cross-court forehand so well. Costa having to bring off a pretty good volley. Rios scampering madly for it.
And he pulled out of that backhand down the line, Costa. Normally he would have gone for the winner. Now Bill Norris is back again. He's trying to get some idea from Bruno Robert what's going on.
Well, he's playing pretty well for a man who's finding it difficult to breathe.
Nope. And it's set point.
30-40.
Of course, very often Costa with a terrific kicking serve would come in against opponents, but very difficult to do it against the left-hander with a kick out wide.
Oh, it's a brilliant shot from Rios.
Deuxième manche. Rios.
And it's 1-all.
6-4.
But I have to say that I think Costa really let him off the hook there.
Yes, I agree. He seemed to have Rios, really, which not too many people have done this year.
All.
That was nearly the most difficult volley Michael Chang's ever had to make.
About a centimetre's worth of difference there.
Oh, good scrambling there by Clavet. What would Chang have done with that volley? Who knows?
To have made all the effort to run around his backhand. Oh, he got away with it. Break point for 4-all.
He's hoping to get a few errors from the racket of Clavet, but he's getting so few of them. This last one was a beautiful forehand.
Jeu Clavet. Clavet mène 4-2.
I don't think Chang was entirely convinced about that last call, but he wasn't going to fight it at 40 love. Well, he's got to do something now, has Chang. Otherwise, he's on the next plane back to Nevada.
Premier service.
He reached the 4th round here last year, so if he goes out 1 round earlier, he's probably going to continue his slow but apparently inexorable fall down the rankings. He spent most of last year as world number 2. Slipped to 3 at the end of the year, which was, I think, the time when people began to wonder whether he was really starting to run out of gas.
Avantage Clavet.
Point for 5-3.
Jeu Clavet.
Bill Norris is still in the area.
Clavet mène par 5-3.
This is in the top left-hand corner of your picture there. Just by the door where the players come out. You can just see a little bit of his white top. That was where Chang pulled up. Could be the beginnings of some cramps. He has slightly more pressing engagement though. That's to hold his serve, because if he doesn't, he's on his way. 3-5, 4th set. And he has some support here.
Yeah.
Lands halfway mid-court.
It wasn't a drive, it wasn't an angle, it wasn't a moon ball. It was soft and said, please hit me. Clavette obliged. Oh, yes.
Chang's ace count goes up to 6, but he needs more than aces at the moment. Clavette's still a break up and 2-1. You have to wonder whether the one he won here 9 years ago will end up as his only one. He's been in 3 subsequent finals, one here, one in New York and one in Melbourne.
Something wrong somewhere.
He did something to his foot then. Now watch how Chang pulls up after this forehand. Oh, camera angle changed. Seems okay though. That's more like it.
Yes, it is more like it, but we've seen it so infrequently. I thought I heard a lead as well, I must be honest. By the looks of it, only 2 people thought it might have been. Clavette and myself.
Doesn't mean you're wrong, Bob.
No, but I probably am.
40-0.
Again.
It's just the kind of game that Chang needs.
Now, what do you think Chang was trying to do there with the backhand? He didn't hit it. There it is there.